In Southeast Asia's largest economy, Indonesia, around 80% of the population remains underbanked or unbanked, with many lacking access to any form of financial services. Vincent Iswaratioso, CEO and founder of one of Indonesia's leading digital payment platforms, Dana, talks to us about his mission to accelerate the adoption of a cashless society. Astro Awani correspondent Farhana Sheikh has the story.
One of the leading digital payment platforms in the country, Dana Indonesia plays a pivotal role in steering Indonesia into a cashless society. With more than 170 million users, the company aims to accelerate financial literacy and inclusion, reshaping the fintech landscape one transaction at a time.
I mean, when you talk about access to banks, or I would say access to financial services, Indonesia, it's still very much underpenetrated. But then if you think about the other things, right, what is it that it's highly penetrated, that have high penetration in Indonesia? It's mobile smartphone penetration. So Indonesia have actually one of the largest ratio of mobile smartphone penetration. And you also can take a look how active Indonesia in social media. I think Indonesia, I'm sure if you take a look into all the data statistic, we're one of the most active in any social media. And the penetrations of that in Indonesia is pretty good. If I'm not mistaken, on the monthly basis, if you talk about YouTube, if you talk about WhatsApp, they have about more than 150 million monthly active users. And as you compare that to the penetrations to the banks, that's so much lower. So that means there are potential, right? There are potential of people who already have access to this digital ecosystem, but not yet have access to financial services. So that's where we come in. That's why we believe that mobile payment, mobile financial services should be accessible to everyone. And that's why what we're building is really a service, a product that can be accessible to everyone that's already used to this digital ecosystem.
Indonesia is home to 10 unicorn startups, with Dana joining the list in 2022 after reaching a valuation of $1.3 billion. Vincent shares what makes Indonesia favorable for building successful startups.
So I think there's also in regards to the gap, right? In Malaysia, the majority of the population is already banked, right? The majority of populations already, I would say, have access to financial. Well, in Indonesia, as we talked earlier, it's like the majority of people are still unbanked. The majority of people don't have a good formal financial services. So that's why the opportunity is there. So when you talk about fintech, that's why it's still booming, exciting because of the gap. There's so many opportunities, and we are jumping over certain technology. So for example, like in Malaysia, there are very card-centric populations, right? Where that card penetration has already entrenched in the market for so long. But it's also pretty user-friendly. So that's why a lot of people still kind of stuck with it. But we jumped it to mobile, to completely to do digital, because we believe that's a better solution for the market, as I mentioned to you as well. Also because the penetration of the smartphone in Indonesia is pretty high. So that's why I see where in Indonesia a lot tech or companies have gone into the billion or more valuations, because market size, opportunity, and also the need of the market.